Hello, good people. I'm Chris, and today I want to talk about a skill that doesn't get celebrated enough. What's that? Patience. Not passive waiting, but patient positioning. Most people think, well, let's look at it like this. Why most people struggle with patience. Most people think patience means doing nothing. That's not the problem. The real problem is they don't know what they're waiting for. When there's no plan, waiting feels uncomfortable. Movement feels unproductive. Noise feels urgent. So people act, not because they should, but because they feel pressure. Now, when I think about that, I think about some of the conversations I've had over the past year or so with different folks, different friends, and what have you. When you're behind the curveball, what I mean by that, when you didn't invest in your 20s, when you failed to take advantage properly of your 401k, meaning company matches 6% or 7% or 8%, and you only invest in 3% for the first 5 years. You're behind the curve ball. You left a lot of money on the table. But hey, things like this in life happens. Even if you fail to invest in your 20s or your 30s, or you get in your 40s and you find you still haven't begun to invest it. So you just now begin to get in the 401k when you're 45 years old. You look up at 50 and you would love to retire at 59 and a half. And you turn around, you look at your 401k. You turn around, you haven't done any investing outside of your 401k. So then you sit there and you talk to the financial advisor that your company 401k has, right? You get on the phone, you talk to the company advisor, and all you hear is what seems like bad news on top of bad news on top of bad news. Seems like you're probably gonna have to work to 100. Well, I disagree with all that. Yes, you're behind the curveball. Yes, you need to, greatly advance your financial knowledge and be as aggressive as possible in your investing, but not just in aggressive as possible, but you're going to have to be wise, right? You may have to take up a side hustle or two, and you're going to have to, do some things to catch up. You're going to have to do some things to hopefully collapse some time. And let me just tell you, it is possible. It is possible. It is possible. It is possible, right? I know this because I'm speaking from experience. I didn't always take advantage of the full company match my first 10 years outside of the military. I got out of the military at 28? So my first 10 years, I was not given the company match. Didn't fully understand it. I knew I needed to put away for retirement and what have you. And I was 50 years old when I started investing outside of my 401k. But I'm telling you, it is possible, right? But you don't want to be one of the ones that's struggling with patience. You're going to have to learn patience at some point in life, right? So let me move on. What patient positioning actually is. Patience becomes powerful when it's paired with preparation. Patient positioning means you've done the research. I'm always talking about research. You understand the business, and I'm talking about getting the understanding. You seize the position correctly. You size the position correctly. Let me say that again. You size the position correctly. That's going to be something that you learn as you continue this financial journey of investing. I've said it a few times before, like when I first got started, and how I had 300, maybe 337 shares or something, but it was only 17 cents. That 317 shares only equal to $60 out of my pocket. That's not an accomplishment, people. It's a start, but it's not an accomplishment. I mean, I've since learned if I take an opportunity on something that's 17 cent, then I don't want 300. I want like 3,000, or I want 300,000. But That's me. Okay. I move on. I move on, right? So you know your risk better than you know your risk before you enter. So many mentors of mine say, you should, before you enter a position, you should have already have done your research on that company. You should already have an idea of what you want your entry price to be. Then you should be patient to get as close as possible to that entry point. But in the meantime, while you're being patient, you need to be cashing up so you can take advantage of the entry point when it comes upon you. In other words, if you plan on investing X amount of dollars into the position, then while you're waiting, you could be cashing up. You could be you could be DCAing into your cash position of that portfolio, right? I'm just throwing ideas out, people. I'm just throwing ideas out, right? But you want to have an idea when you enter a position. You want to have an idea of its potential. You want to have an idea of your exit point, right? If it's your exit plan, your exit strategy. Is it your long-term hold that you plan to hold for retirement, or is it a play that you're getting into to build capital for your overall portfolio? All right, moving on. Once that's done, time becomes your ally. Patience. Time, patience become your ally. You're not watching every tick. You're letting your thesis work. You're letting your thesis go to work, right? You're giving your time money to mature and grow. How patience protects your capital. Impatience costs more money than bad picks. Let me say that again. Impatience costs more money than bad picks. I could say this to the sun come up, right? Until you experience it for yourself, it's just words in your ears, So impatience costs more than bad picks. How can I best comment on that? I had a position and it was early going, my first 6 months, and I had already made some good choices. I picked this, and I don't even remember what it was, what the commodity was, or anything. All I know is I picked it because I had looked at it, I did a little quick research, and I said, hey, I think this is a good opportunity. And I invested some money. I built my position size to like $500 in a matter of less than 10 days. And I moved on, right? And within 2-3 weeks, the 500 doubled, right? So I exited that position and moved it somewhere else. 2 months later, it was like 3, 4, 5 times the size, cost-wise, what I purchased it at. I didn't do proper research, and I was impatient. I guarantee you, if I had held it for 2 years, it would have been something to really talk about, right? But instead, 3 weeks, I made, my 500 grew to 1,000. I thought that was good money. Patience and research is always going to be your best friend. Why? Early exit. What I just talked about, right? Chasing momentum. I'm going to leave it alone. I think it speaks for itself. Over adjusting. Emotional resizing. Patience protect you from your own reactions, but it only protect you when you come up with your plan and your strategy and you stick to it, right? Patience will help you stick to your plan and your strategy. If you don't have a plan and you don't have a strategy, it's been said, if you fail to plan, then you automatically plan to fail. So I'm just saying. And the calmer you stay, the fewer mistakes you make. I believe I talked about that on yesterday. Life application. This principle doesn't stop at investing. Patience in life looks like letting go, letting growth unfold, not forcing outcomes, staying present instead of restless. Just like investing, good things compound when you stop interfering. Let it do what it is going to do. And that's just a life application. So, in closing, the market doesn't reward speed, it rewards positioning plus time, or it rewards positioning combined with time. If you're prepared well, the most powerful move is often patience. And you ain't got to take my word, just make note of it. And a year or two from now, you'll begin to fully understand just what that means. If this message helped you today, like, subscribe, and share it with someone learning to wait wisely. Stay steady, stay prepared. Walk in wisdom, my friend.